What's up, guys? That's Captain Cook. Welcome back to episode 9 of Spicy Memories, the podcast about food and stuff. We've been starting to amp up more of these Zoom meetings in the life of quarantine. We're going to get into a little bit about that. And I am joined by a very special guest, someone I've been following for a while. She has a foodie page based out of Connecticut. And I want everyone to welcome Tiffany from FoodieWithABooty.
Hello. Thank you for having me tonight.
Oh, it is my pleasure. I've actually wanted to talk for a while because I've been following you, I want to say for like over a year now, something like that. And I've just been kind of consistently, I think so. Yeah, man. Cause time just like, it just, I don't know. These past 7 months too, have just been like,
oh yeah,
5 minutes. But yeah, it's been about over a year. And, I'm curious because you have a very nice kind of like eclectic mix of like, food and stuff like that. And of like a mixture of like things maybe you've made as well as food from all over, Connecticut, and you've gone to the city and like even other parts like of, New York. And I don't know, I'm just curious to get into a little bit. So before anything, why don't you just give people a little intro into you, your page, and let the people know who you are, basically.
So my page I was bored at work one day. I was already posting food stuff on my personal page, and I figured, hey, people must be bored or sick of this, so let me make a new page dedicated to just that. I think my main goal, actually, I really wanted to be on the deal. I didn't want anybody to know who I was because I don't want that special treatment when I go to restaurants. I have a salary, so I'm gonna use that on food. Like, don't comp me, don't give me any freebies. But the purpose of it is to just really highlight other cuisines that people might not be familiar with. So recently, I think I started this probably like a year after creating my page. I started doing, I started listing what the dishes were so that when people went to those restaurants, they could be like, oh, I know exactly what she had, looks good, doesn't seem intimidating because now I see a picture of it. And it's FoodieWithABooty approved.
Which is, I mean, aside from the fact that you have one of the most awesome names, like for a foodie page. I mean, that was the first, like, I think one of the times that I had followed, I was like, well, winner of the best Instagram name of the week. I was like, that's like amazing. And I mean, touching on what you said, I think that these food Instagrams, which a lot of people, turn their nose up at, they don't like us food people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you understand what it's really about, like you were kind of just saying, it really is kind of beautiful. I mean, you're putting stuff out there that's available for everybody. You know what I mean? And that's a huge thing. I mean, it's different than, like some of these influencers, like we even saw like some of these, like lifestyle bloggers on Instagram and stuff will go to, the special, nothing like smacking your microphone. They'll go to like this special place in Bear Mountain, and they'll get a picture somehow with like nobody around, or they'll go to like this place in the Catskills that you have no idea where it is, and it's all for like their aesthetic, and that's all well and good. We all like taking nice photos because it's all about the vibe. However, I think when you put something on the gram that's like available for someone else and they see it, they connect with it, and like I don't know, what I've noticed was that you kind of have a good mix of that. So before we get more into that, was it, and forgive me for digging deep on your Instagram, but this is what I do. Your first post on there is from April 19th, 2017. It is a unicorn cupcake. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I remember.
So my question is, was that the thing that you were eating where you were just like, people need to see this? Or was there a dish that you ate and you're like, man, I would really love to make an Instagram just for
I think at first it was really to gain a following and gain traction.
Okay.
I think more recently I've delved into the more exotic, quote unquote, exotic cuisines.
Right.
Like there's a Filipino place that just opened here a few months ago.
Oh, very nice.
No one eats Filipino food here. And the only reason I've had it is because my brother-in-law is Filipino.
Oh, okay.
I've known him since I was 8.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm turning 27 next week. So
okay. All right. Very nice.
So I've always been exposed to his culture. His parents always made it for me. And then when they moved back to the Philippines, I'm like, where am I going to get this fix? And
I know.
Behold, it opened. It's glorious doors 2 exits away.
Oh, that's amazing.
And now I'm just trying to highlight that too, because it's like people don't know what longanisa is or ube
Right.
or
Unless you grew up with
any
it,
of that.
unless you like, unless you had a connection with it like you did.
Right.
Unless you, and I mean that's part like look, there's we're in Stanford and we're right next to New York. You
Hmm.
have no shortage of Italian places, you know, of even like Argentinian steakhouses are pretty frequent around here. Um, but certain things like Indonesian food, like Filipino stuff like that, like specific like Thai restaurants are like everywhere. But I don't know. I mean, it's there's so much out there that when there's something specific like that, especially, the fact that you're trying to kind of amplify that is awesome. Because I mean, that's I remember we went the last weekend before everything got shut down. We were in Queens, in Corona, Queens, because that was the smart move. And we went to this Indonesian food festival. I had never had Indonesian food before in my life, and it was insane. It was so good. And I think when you live outside of New York City, like you and I do, you forget that we don't always have access to all the places that you would in like Brooklyn, Queens. Like if you go to Flushing, Queens, there is every kind of cuisine that you could imagine in Flushing, from just good pizza that's owned and operated by Albanians, all the way, which is true, all the way to the craziest kind of Korean food you ever had in your entire life.
Yeah.
And we don't always have that kind of mix when you grow up in Eastchester or Yonkers, it's becoming a little more frequent, which is nice. But I think it's really cool that you actually try to like amplify those places and put them out there, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I'm all for the mom and pop shops.
Right.
I rarely visit any chains, and if I do, it's like Shake Shack
Right.
because
And
who
like,
doesn't love Shake Shack?
right, exactly. That's like, I think one of the few like chains that I've actually posted was actually Shake Shack. I think In and Out and Shake Shack. That was pretty much,
Yeah.
because if you get In and Out, you have to, you got to post In and Out.
I've actually never had In and Out.
I mean, you've had Five Guys?
I've had Five Guys.
Okay, so
I lived across the street from one.
that is fucking that's dangerous. That is really dangerous. I would, oh man, that would be bad. Um, I mean, I don't know. It's really really good. Oh, Jesus Christ, I have to stop doing
You
that.
need
It's like I need like a piece of glass.
you need a barrier.
I
You
know,
need a
seriously.
shield.
I know. I need like a boom guy who can hold it. I God, okay. Five Guys is so different, but in a way, it's like I don't know how to compare them to say which one is better or not. Like In and Out is amazing. It's great. But at the same time, Five Guys is incredible. I mean, Five Guys is unbelievable, and like putting them next to each other, because having both, yeah, you can go to In and Out, get the animal style that everyone says get, with the onions, caramelized onions, and the sauce and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, honestly, Five Guys makes just as good burgers, I think, and I'm probably gonna get some shit for this, but that's okay. That's what all this is about. But like you were saying, I'm very interested in places that maybe are local, or small restaurants, individual restaurants, like places that are not one of 20. You know what I mean? Like going to PF Chang's is like great, but like, do they really need your publicity? Like, do you really need to be telling people like,
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I think once I started getting to know some of the chefs or like the restaurant owners, before I really thought it was just like, oh, it's what they like to do. They just cook for a living. No, people pour their heart and soul into creating these restaurants. I love seeing R&D from chefs because they get so hyped up about it and they're so proud. They're like, oh my God, you need to try this.
yeah,
And I'm like, okay, I'll
seriously.
try it.
And because like you said, it's their livelihood. It's like they live and breathe these places, and you don't always find that in like big chains. I mean, yeah, you can find efficient workers there, but like when you have a place, like a good example in New Rochelle, New York, all right, there's a restaurant I'm very fond of. I know the head chef and owner, and I know both of his establishments. There's one called Maria, which just won Best New Restaurant 2019, and 2020 got Michelin recognition. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it's like a new twist on very, very, very traditional Italian dishes, but like very old school traditional. And then two doors down, he's got an espresso bar called Pops, and Pops won like best grilled cheese in 2019, and it's like the cappuccinos are just like insane. But like when you talk with people like that, finally, like you said, and you get to know them, and they show you like dishes they're trying out, and they tell you about how they develop things like that, and you find out about what's going on in the back of the kitchen. It just like blows your mind. You're like, oh my God, like there are so many layers and levels to this that just go deeper and deeper and deeper. So I think one of the things that I really loved was, like you said, kind of finding out all the stuff behind the scenes of like what really went into that, you know? And when you're at a smaller restaurant, I don't know what you think about this, but I feel like when you really do enjoy something, it's much more kind of like recognized, and they actually do, like, it is very appreciated,
Right.
a
Yeah.
lot more, like especially if you compliment. I gotta edit that out. Jesus, hello. That's what happens when you drink 19 seltzers a day. Um, but yeah, when you talk to the chef and stuff and you find out, and you actually compliment them, it's like, you're recognizing the importance of what they poured their heart and soul into.
Mhm.
So it's like it's at a different level than just like, going to Cheesecake Factory and be like, these are the best chicken tenders I've ever had in my life. Which, look, I have nothing against Cheesecake Factory, and like we eat at a lot of chains and that's fine, but you have to understand where you are in certain places, I think. I mean, I don't know if you felt, there's different vibes when you go to like a bigger place, or a place that's even one of God knows how many,
Mhm.
compared to like, a mom and pop style restaurant, or a single owner, single chef restaurant where there may only be like 15 tables, but everything you see around you has been very meticulously put there for a reason, you know? Um, so I don't know. I mean, and speaking of restaurants, this leads me into my next kind of segue. Um, I want to talk about like importance of posts to you, like what you think stands out more, or what's more important to you, or what gets better reception. I mean, there's these two different sides of like foodie kind of Instagram. There's like presentation, right? And there are these dishes that you look at and you're just like, that looks like like a work of art. You know what I mean? And it could be something with like a beautiful like balsamic glaze that's spread across the bottom, layered with like 3 prawns on top of like potato. You know what I mean? Like these beautiful things finished in microgreens. That's always nice to look at, and it usually tastes incredible. But there's also then what I like to call relatable content. And relatable content is like a greasy, disgusting cheeseburger that is just dripping with cheddar cheese and bacon, and you're just holding it, and people lose their goddamn minds. They just go apeshit. And so, I mean, based on what you've been posting and based on what you like, what do you think is really stands out more, and what do you really enjoy actually experiencing more? Is it like the presentation where you don't get to experience things that as often, or is it just like, something that you post where you're just like, everybody knows what something good like this tastes like?
I do a mix of both, but you do make a really good point when it's like something relatable. So the most recent post was the apple cider slushy with the apple cider donut.
Yes, I
That
saw that.
got so much traction compared to my last 2 weeks of posting. I think the last 2 weeks it was around maybe like 300, 350 likes.
Mm.
That one had like over 400,
Oh my God.
and I'm pulling it up now. And I think it was shared like 25 times or something.
Jesus Christ.
417 likes and shared 27,
Oh my
like
God.
sent in a DM or shared to a story somewhere.
I mean, and that's the thing. I think that everyone at some point in their life has had like a donut like that, and
Yeah,
you
because
know
it's
that
fall.
feeling. I know. That's the thing. It all ties into like the
All these
aesthetic and like,
beautiful peaches are
that's it.
I liking this, double tapping
They
it.
saw, they're like, where's my pumpkin spice?
Yeah.
Yes. Like they're
Or
just
like
like,
during the summer, another big post was this. I went to Abbott's up in Nowonk, Connecticut. It's right by
uh-huh.
the shore. Lobster, 2 lobster rolls, 2 big
Oh my
lobster,
God. Oh yeah. That's like, I mean, if you got a photo like that, that's like summer vibes. That's like,
581.
wow. Jesus. I
I
mean,
think
that's
that
it.
one has been my most likes this year.
Oh
But
God.
also, that was during the summer.
Right.
Everybody
So
was
it's
chilling, everybody's vibing. So
right.
I think it
Exactly.
had to do with that too.
You have to tie into the, like in the winter, I tend to post a lot of like stews and chilies
Hmm.
and like hearty soups, or like,
Yeah.
like long meals that take like 8 hours that we cook, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Because that's what, you want, like warm, like hearty kind of stuff in the winter, and you want like roast chickens and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, not like barbecue chickens, like, roast chickens. Which all right, and I agree with you. Like one of my posts that just got way more traction than any other one was from yesterday, and it was just a bacon, egg, and cheese. You saw it. It was a bacon, egg, and cheddar with a hash brown on a roll.
Those do really well. Those and bagels.
Oh yeah, because you do that little, the stack, and
Yeah.
the side stack I call it, and yeah, bagels do crazy. When I made everything bagels, and then I made everything bagels, and then I made my own lox. I cured my own lox,
Yeah.
and I put on the everything bagel that I made like cream cheese, lox, red onion, and dill. And I remember putting that up as like, and people lost it. They loved it. And everything bagels are not as hard as you'd think to make, it blew my mind because that was like one of the things that I was always just like, I could just go get one that's like 20 times better than whatever I can cook. And then quarantine happened and I was like, well, fuck it. Let me try. I was like, I may as well, I'm stuck here. Let me try something. I don't know. I mean, okay. So again, relatable content, as you said, and especially with your donut, it's just, I think it just, when people feel like they know what you're posting and they could like almost like taste it and feel it,
Yeah.
like, especially like the photo was like so clear with the donut, you could see like the crystals on it. And like, it's just everything about a post like that, even like with my bacon, egg, and cheese, you could see like the cheese fucking just like drooling down the sandwich. It's like, that feeling. And I think when something is that relatable, people, it hits them in a different place, everybody, it's nice to look at a plate where you're just like, I don't even want to eat this. It looks so beautiful, and it's great to experience those restaurants, like a good example. I was for last year for my honeymoon, I was in Paris. Great food, as you can imagine. And we did all the typical stuff. We got crepes, like blah, 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 whatever. Our last night there, we went to a French bistro. I got roast duck and she got this beautiful beef dish and it was laid out. It was prettier than anything I've ever seen in my life. But that whole trip, the best meal was the night that we had a picnic at the Eiffel Tower and we just got 2 wood-fired pizzas. And that was it. It was like wood-fired pizzas with like cherry peppers on it. And it was just, it was amazing. That was like, and I think whatever you're eating, especially if it's something simple like that, if it ties in to your life in a kind of special way, it means more, and, especially with like a donut, people might relate that to, a fond memory of, going to a farm or, an apple orchard or something, and getting cider and donuts and stuff.
Yeah, or one of those fairs like the Biggie. Have you ever been to the Biggie?
No. Is that's in Connecticut?
It's in Massachusetts.
Okay.
It's right by Six Flags, New England.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
That area. But every fall they put a festival, like a fair. It's probably maybe a month long. You just eat everything fried Oreos, fried Twinkies, fried butter, donuts, and then each state has its own little house. So like Connecticut has its house. Inside they have like a Pez shop. They do donuts. They do, I think one of the baked potatoes is in the Connecticut house, but it's just like a fair. You just go up with your friends. You see the animals, you see the butter sculptures.
That's what I'm saying. These photos, especially the relatable ones, they all tie into like a bigger experience, I mean, I think when you post something that has that much traction, I think it makes you realize like, things like that, like it connects to people, you're posting stuff that's really helping people, I don't want to say escape, but maybe access, a different kind of euphoria, I guess you could say.
Or if anything, I feel like I just put some inspiration into people's next weekend adventure.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've had people go to restaurants that I've recommended. I've had people try recipes that I've cooked. Because I mean, I've seen you cook a lot. And at one point I was, especially during quarantine, I was pretty much exclusively only cooking. But my page is a kind of a mix of, both for the most part. But I did. All right. So I did want to ask, you've been doing this now for over 3 years, right? With this page, and you've got some, great partnerships with great companies, most recently, Eggland's Best, which, I mean, those are the only eggs that I buy. That's why I saw that and I was just like, that's awesome. Cause like, especially we get, the dozen, the carton of eggs is like $3.50 where we are. And they're large, cage-free eggs, which it's made a huge difference in my life as far as like good quality eggs. That was like one of the few things that like when I first started taking food a little more seriously, obviously when you own a restaurant and you have to buy, 20 cartons of eggs in bulk, it makes more sense to get the ones that are cheapest. But if you have control over what you're putting in your body, and the two of us don't eat, we're not Rocky, we're not eating, 50 eggs a week, maybe try and add a little bit better quality. And,
there's a market in Stanford called Mike's Organic. Okay. I met the owner a bunch of times before. He's a very nice guy. He uses the analogy, if you're comparing your body to like a Mercedes-Benz, okay, if you're pushing out that much money in a car, yet you're only buying $1 pound chicken for yourself to eat, something's wrong there, like your body, you're feeling that till the day you die, not to be
Right.
morbid, but for lack of better terms, that's
Right. Yeah.
all I can think of right now. But he pushes that you should feed your body like good stuff, good meats, good veggies, like know where it comes from, because your body is like your source of living,
Yeah. Exactly. It's
And
gonna
if
be
you're
with
going
you
to treat your
forever.
Mercedes-Benz car better than your body, then it's almost like, what's the point?
Exactly. And I mean, the problem with a lot of people is not just the cost. I think it's like access. There are some places where it's not as easy, to get
Yeah.
fresh things like that. Like in places like Stanford and Westchester, it's pretty easy. But even then, when you go to the stores and you go to like the organic sections and stuff, like sometimes that stuff looks worse than, because it may be organic, but it might have been sitting there for 5 days, and just like gets like dried out and stuff. But, like I bought there were these beautiful organic carrots that I wanted to get the other day, and I got a bunch of them and I picked them up and they looked gorgeous. I mean, it was like they had the nice top. They even left the whole tops on them, which I love. I hate when people cut off fennel and carrot tops. That's my biggest pet peeve when they
And you
cut
can
off those
make stuff
tops.
out of those greens, right?
Yes, you can make stock. My God, I make my own chicken stock. It's the easiest thing in the world. I save all of our chicken scraps and throw them in the freezer. And then at one point, you roast everything on a tray, throw it in a pot, and fill it up with water with a bunch of veggies and let it simmer for like 4 hours. And that's it. You got chicken stock. That sounded way more complicated than it really is. But, but yeah, I think you have a point. And I think that the guy with the market has a point where, if you're gonna put, complete shit basically into your body, don't be surprised that you kind of feel like that. And I think if more people maybe had access to really good, clean food, it's not even about expensive, organic, whatever. My cousin who is a social media influencer, he does martial artist and drawing and all that stuff. He's got a couple 100,000 people that follow him on YouTube. His advice to me when I was trying to eat a little bit healthier was very simple. He was like, look at the ingredients on what you're eating. And if there's more than like four things, don't even bother. It's that simple. Like even when you're cooking with something, he said a can of beans. He was like, right? He's like, that would seem very unsuspecting, but look at the ingredients on a can of beans. It's water, salt, beans. That's it. He was like, you got to like stick with stuff like that in your life. Very simple, very clean, very good. Um, and I think that's like, like you were saying, it's if you can live that way, it helps. It helps you feel a little bit better and, all that stuff. And so diverging away from food just for like a quick second. Um, I don't know if you know. I don't know. I was curious if you could have any kind of influencer page, right? Other than having a food page, what would it be? Like if could just like switch it. Like,
I'd get a dog and make a page for him.
oh yeah, okay. Have a dog Instagram. Those are big.
Those are big.
Those are big. Yeah, yeah. We have
Yeah, I'm
an
also big on like lifestyle. I know lifestyle bloggers, like I've met them in person. It gives off a different vibe.
It is. It's a
So
very different vibe.
it's like almost a facade.
It is, and I feel like they're putting stuff out there that's like a live action Pinterest board. They're putting stuff out there for inspiration for other people, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, Stuff that you're pumping out though is not just inspiration; it's also available, and it's also very relatable. And so what you're doing is almost giving them information, not just inspiration. You're giving them like valid information, which I think is great. I'm not shitting on lifestyle bloggers. I love lifestyle blogs. I follow them myself.
Oh
But
yeah, I love them too. Yeah, but I could never be one. That's just
it's
not
like
me.
it's hard when you
I
look at
need to
something.
be real
Right.
and like
Yeah.
sometimes post something ugly and sometimes post something that gets 500 likes.
Exactly. I
Like,
know. Yeah, I
it's
know. I've
balance.
posted such like unsuspecting things where I was just like, I gotta post something and just throw something up and it just like blows up for some reason. And then the photos that I take a lot of pride in get no likes. Like the ones that I care about the most, nobody cares about. And it's the most frustrating thing in the entire world. I can never accomplish that. But yeah, I don't know. But especially like what we're saying, like with lifestyle blogs, the difference is like if they post something, right, and you look and you're like, oh my God, I love that bench. Like we saw this the other day. It was like a raw wood uh, kind of bench at the end of like a bed, right? And they had it linked. I'm like, all right, let me look. And it was like
How many grand?
$2,500. And I'm like you know what I mean? Like I have friends that do woodworking. I could probably have them make one. It's like, I don't know. I feel like what they're putting up is great, and it's great for inspiration. Like for us, we just moved into an apartment, so we need a lot of inspiration on like different kind of rooms and stuff like that. So it's nice to look at, but like when you post something, like that donut, or like, even the recipe that you did for eggplant, the shakshuka, right? The shakshuka.
Yeah.
Um, it's not that complicated, and it looked beautiful, and it's like you got the egg like just right, and it was floating. It was like, you see something like that and you're just like, I can do that. It's a totally different vibe, and it's not like a facade. You're putting it out there basically.
Full disclosure, I really don't cook that often.
You don't? Okay.
If anything, it's like simple things. I mean, I feel like I can cook. I'm just lazy.
Yeah, a lot of people just don't have the time. I mean, you work a full-time job, right?
Yeah.
And I work a full-time job. It sucks. It's like, I feel like when I come home, and maybe you get a little reluctant to kind of start the process when I have to cook. But then like once I get into it, I'm kind of
Right.
like into
The
it. And I'm
shakshuka,
like,
that was the first time I made it, actually.
really?
I had the vision in my head. I'm like, I need to display the eggs in some sort of way where it's kind of like egg porny, but not like yolk porn. I just need something to kind of, I don't know,
Just kind of
showcase
plop.
it.
Yeah, just kind of like plop.
Instead of just like a flat, here are my fried eggs for the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But as I was making it, I'm like, oh, this is really easy. It's just peppers, onions, garlic, saute them.
And I gotta say, to pump out for promotion for eggs, that was a great choice. Because like you said, people could just be like, "Here's fried eggs," or like or something like stupid. I would do is like I love making the eggie in the basket. Like in the bread. That's
Yeah,
like,
it was between that or the egg in a cloud. Have you seen those where you whip
yeah,
the egg white? Yeah.
yeah. I've done that before. It is not as complicated as I thought. But this was before I had the attachment whisk for my stand mixer, so I'm there with my whisk just going like, yeah, I'm just like, and I don't have that much I'm like,
oh, peaks! I see peaks now.
I'm like switching my hands. My wife was like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "I'm whisking." Just like, but all right. So all right, now let's go back into your influencer world. Here's an interesting question. All right, we got how much time we got? Yeah, we got like 12, 13 minutes left. I can always just I'll tell everyone here. I don't care. I don't pay for Zoom. So if we need to, we could just end the meeting and start it over again, and I'll just edit the clips together. Don't care. But yeah, so one place in Stanford that I've never been to Stanford before, right? I mean, I have, but let's say I'm someone who's never been to Stanford, right? And I'm just like, what's Connecticut? And I tell you I'm coming to Stanford, but I'm only going to be there for a few hours. I can only go there for lunch. One place. And I'm like, I'll allow you to send me anywhere, but give me one place in Stanford, Connecticut that you would drive people to no matter what.
Hope Pizza Restaurant.
Say it again?
Hope Pizza.
Hope.
Yeah.
Hope. Like.
So Greek style pizza.
Greek style.
It's Greek style, so it has like it's not thin crust, it's not thick crust, but it's kind of like a pan pizza. And then they also have this amazing salad, which is basically cheese with a side of lettuce.
Wow. Okay.
So it's called a tossed salad I get the mozzarella. So it's like a mound of mozzarella, and underneath it, it's just iceberg lettuce, I think radishes, red onion, and then their super famous salad dressing, which I have no idea what's in it.
Got you.
Every time that plate of salad comes on the table, I need to stop talking because then I'll start drooling, which has happened, by the way.
Sure. Yeah. You just zone out and just stare at the dish.
Yeah. But it's like one of those staples in Stanford. If you grew up in Stanford, you would definitely know about it.
Okay.
I always try to push people onto it just because it's cheap for what it is.
Which is great.
It's like a piece of home.
That's great. Well, now I have a place to go to. That's good.
That
That was all just a trick for you to recommend a place to me. Just
you could that.
which is great. All right. So before we get into the outro, which is a little more lighthearted, I don't know. I had an interesting kind of question. I'm trying to think of ways to tie in food with because this is a podcast about food and stuff. If you've listened to the ones where I'm by myself, I rant like a lunatic and get into my insecurities, and it's a nightmare. It's like if you have anxiety, you should not listen to that podcast when I'm alone because.
So basically, you're saying all your podcasts are just word vomit.
Pretty much. I mean, this is the most organized I've been probably in my life. And it's not even that organized. I've gone off on so many tangents. But yeah, usually I've had people on where it was just like I had my friends from Boozy Hops on, right? Which if you don't follow that page, you absolutely should. I don't know if you like beer or not and food.
I'll do that now.
Boozy Hops, all one word. And it's all food and drink around Rockland, Westchester, Stamford, the city, all over the place. And I had them on for a podcast, and Jonna and Sarah, my two friends, and it ended up just being like a night of just going off on rants about random shit. And it was fun, but it's like an hour and a half of just like of talking like this. So this is pretty much like the most organized that I've been in a very long time. But the question I wanted to ask that may seem a little unconventional, but I think ties into all of us humans. Is there a certain meal or a food that triggers a specific memory for you that you really, really love? And I mean, like, it doesn't have to be, I'm not saying like, like traumatic. I'm not, like, some people, I don't want you to like look at a hot dog and, be like, oh, and relive some kind of past trauma. No, I'm saying like, is there something that like every time you eat it, it like brings you back somewhere? Or do you like a certain food because of like a nice memory? Anything like that, you know?
That's a tough one. A few come to mind.
Okay.
The first one that popped into my head was clay pot rice.
Okay.
So it's rice cooked in a clay pot
Okay.
over like a very big open flame.
Yeah.
Inside it's like you got Chinese sausage, chicken usually. This rice is seasoned and it's
Okay.
just cooked on that flame. But the unique thing is that the bottom layer of the rice gets really crunchy.
Yes.
So
The Spaniards called that the sucrat. Yeah, that's
so, like that's one of my favorite things. It's very hard to find here. I think the last time I had it was in Hong Kong, which was
wow.
a few years ago.
Wow. Okay.
2015, 2016.
Oh, okay. So not that long ago. Okay. Have you ever tried to make it or no?
My mom tries to make it. It's just not the same.
It's not the same.
It's like the technique that they use with
Yeah.
the pot and the open fire too. Like you can't get that on a gas stove.
No, not at all. I mean, it's the same thing as like when you cook in like a real wok compared to
Yeah.
like, the woks they sell for like stovetops. Like it's not the
Yeah,
same,
it's not the same.
It's not the same.
So that's one. And then I love pho. Pho is like one of my favorite noodles to
There you
eat.
go.
Except I'm very picky at it with it. I think I've just been spoiled since our family does have some background with Vietnamese and
Okay.
Vietnamese cuisine. So it's like every time I do have it, I think about my aunt in Florida, the way she makes it, my aunt in Hamden, the way she makes it. So it's just a fusion of flavors for
Yeah,
me. And
it's hard to
get
top.
the others.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to top something that you have a personal connection with that can be done so well by somebody that you are related to, especially, like there's a few dishes that I still haven't had better outside of like my parents' kitchen, like my dad's specialty was like lamb. Like he used to make racks of lamb like constantly. And he wouldn't even do like the mint jelly that all those, boomers love to do. He would make a really, like the way it was cooked, how long, cover it with aluminum foil at the right time, just like it was just, you go out and you have things in other places and you're like I don't know, like I've had this before. Like I know how good it can be, from like a family member, you know? And I mean, that's the other thing too. It's like, even as I've gotten older, there's things that my wife and I cook better than anything we have out. Like we don't order spaghetti out or like spaghetti and meatballs, like we're both Italian and, I've been cooking red sauce since I was 9. So
Yeah.
it's like, either of us any weekday night could pump out better red sauce than I've had anywhere else, And
Unless that place is like known for their meatballs, then I'm
right,
going
exactly.
for it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
if that, I'm not usually going for that
No,
either.
yeah, exactly. I mean, because it's like you have it so much. Why would you have it out? I mean, like I got meatballs and spaghetti. Sorry, she got meatballs and spaghetti at this place in Mamaroneck that you know Mamaroneck. There's a place that you should totally check out. It's called Andrea's 25 North, I think. Yeah, Andrea's 25 North. And I remember she got the spaghetti and meatballs. This was years ago. We went for an anniversary. And we're sitting there and I'm like, just out of curiosity, because I'm pretty annoying when it comes to like people like skimping on meatballs. I was like, just out of curiosity, man. I'm like, how many meatballs come in the dish? He's like, 2. I'm like, okay. I was like, I was like, all right, whatever. They brought them. These meatballs were the size of a fucking infant. They were each like this. I'm not kidding. They were each this big. And there were 2 of them. And she just looked at her dish. She's like, what the hell? Like, and it was insane. They were so good. And that was like, that's cool. Cause it's like, we've never done that. It was like,
Yeah.
but, yeah, you should totally check out that place in Mamaroneck if you ever have the means to skedaddle over there. So we're kind of coming to the close here, you know, which I'm gonna start doing this a lot more. But it's been awesome, like having you like explain your idea of like what people like you and like me do on this social media platform, because it's like the social media has completely taken over everything, and especially I think in the last like 8 months, that's all people have done. They've just been living on social media because everyone's home, you know, and that's why it's the most amount of adults that have gotten TikTok than nobody would have expected.
We don't belong on TikTok.
Yeah, I know. It's like even when I first downloaded it, I'm like, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Like it just and like I find
It took me in for like 4 hours each night. Before
oh yeah,
it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
oh my god, it's horrible. It's like I'm
Even with their stupid ad that's like, I think you've been scrolling enough now. I'm like, nope, skip.
Nope. You're just jokes on you. Okay, so here's the last little question that I have. I do this with all my guests. All right. Back in grade school, you may be familiar with the game Fuck, Marry, Kill, right? Sleep, Marry, Kill, whatever you get. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna do that, but instead of doing it with dreamy celebrities with washboard abs, we're gonna be doing it with food. So a dish that you would have like a dirty one night stand with, a dish that you never want to see again and that you would murder.
Okay. Well, the funny thing is, so I'm single, so I'm all these dating app things. My line is fuck, marry, kill, pizza, tacos, or burgers.
Really?
Yes, that is
That's
my
your line on the dating app?
line.
That is awesome. I had no idea. That worked out so well. Okay, well, answer your own question though. Between those three,
it depends on my mood, but right now, I say marry pizza,
okay,
fuck tacos, and kill the burger.
there you go. Okay, I think, I might be with you. I mean, it might be a toss up with having the dirty one night stand between the greasy burger or the amazing taco with the hard crunchy shell that gives a little sting, But I don't know. I mean, with the taco, you probably feel it the next morning. I don't know. I just, I'm probably along the lines of what you would say with that. But I'm always curious because it's like, it seems like a very weird, shallow question, but in a way, it's like,
It really gets me thinking.
it does. Yeah.
I don't know how it just one day I'm just like, huh, that's a funny one.
I can't believe that's your line on your I swear I didn't do that much research. Like I really didn't. It's not like I looked at my wife and I'm like, you have to be cool with this. All right, let me download.
Let me stop here real quick.
Yeah, no, it's that's not how it works. Which is that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so there's about a minute and a half left before I plug all your taglines and close it out. Is there anything you specifically want to shout out aside from your Instagram page, your blog, anything like that? So
I want to shout out you for organizing this.
oh, please. This is it's absolutely my pleasure. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much, Tiffany. Thank you so much. Guys, I'm going to tag all of her stuff in the description and the Instagram post as always, but you can find her on Instagram at _FoodieWithABooty. All one word, right? That's what it is, right? _FoodieWithABooty. You have a blog as well. Is that just www.foodiewithabooty.com?
I think it's www.fwab.
Got it. Okay.
That blog, I think.
Right. Okay. That first
in
one.
my link tree.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You have a link tree. Okay. Yeah. If you go to her Instagram, she's got a link tree with all of her links, which is perfect. Tiffany, thank you so much. I'm gonna stop the recording now, guys. Stay tuned for episode 10. I'm not gonna tell you who I have on yet, but I promise you will not regret it. All right, guys. Have a good time. Tiffany, thank you so much.
Thank you.